Hello and welcome back to Election Now. Today, we're going to have an election prediction with a potential 2020 matchup between former US President Barack Obama versus the incumbent Donald Trump. Now, President Obama has already finished his 2 terms in office, meaning that he cannot run for a 3rd term legally. But this is a hypothetical scenario just for fun to see what a potential matchup would look like between these 2 presidents. So, first, let's go ahead and begin with certain states which would definitely go to the Democratic Party. We can see California, Oregon, Washington, as well as Hawaii on the West Coast, which are very liberal states, go to the Democratic Party. In addition to that, I would say that Illinois is considered a safe state in the Midwest, and Minnesota would also be leaning Democratic. This has been leaning Democratic for a while. It was also shown as leaning Democratic in 2016 and did remain in the Democratic column. I do think that throughout the Northeast, President Obama will have no issue picking up electoral votes in states like New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland, which are some of the most democratic liberal states in the country. And so I think this will definitely be a easy sweep. I think that New Hampshire is leaning Democratic. I think that if you move down further into New Mexico in the Southwest and Colorado, which has been leaning Democratic for quite some time, and Democrats have really started picking up statewide offices in Colorado, and in the past few presidential elections has been a state which has consistently gone to the Democratic Party. I think that for the Republicans, Alaska is going to be an easy pickup. If we look here in the West, I think that Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, being the usual set of electoral votes in the West, will remain in the Republican column. I think that if we quickly jump back into the Northeast, Maine's 3 out of 4 electoral votes will definitely go to President Obama, but I do see the 2nd district remaining in the Republican column as it is somewhat libertarian and conservative and did vote for President Trump in 2016 as well as Mitt Romney in 2012. I think that if you look at North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, as we move down here throughout the Great Plains, Republicans have a stronghold here. If we look at the South, I think Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, even a lot of this central Bible Belt area is incredibly Republican. I think that Missouri, Kentucky, even, and West Virginia are some solid Republican states. Missouri is leaning Republican, but it is becoming more and more Republican as you see the past few presidential election cycles, and is consistently moving in that direction. So I will leave it as leaning Republican. I think that if you look at South Carolina, this is a state which will lean Republican, although the margin that Republicans win in South Carolina is smaller than, say, Alabama. It is a state that is probably still going to be in the Republican column for the next decade or so to come. I do think that we can see some flips from 2016. I think that President Obama will flip Arizona. Nevada will remain in the Democratic column. And moving up to the Midwest, this is where a lot of the big votes are going to come in. I think that President Obama will win Iowa easily, as he won in this state with well over 50% of the popular vote back in 2012. And that was after his massive victory in 2008, 4 years prior. I think that Indiana could potentially remain in the Republican column as the vice presidential advantage comes in here, as it is Mike Pence's home state, and he was quite popular as a governor. I think that we can see Texas actually flipping, as well as Georgia, 2 southern states, which have been very close to flipping into the Democratic column. Many people said this could happen in 2016, and many people believe that this could even happen in 2020. But if a candidate like Barack Obama, who has insane popularity in comparison to President Trump, and just polls aside, in general had a higher approval rating as a president, and a state like Texas and Georgia, which has been consistently moving further left to the Democratic side. If you see the past few presidential election cycles, you will see that the gap has been drastically closing in both of these states. Again, that mixed in with minorities coming out to vote again in higher numbers, especially like in Georgia, right in the Atlanta, Savannah areas, you will see more African Americans coming out for Barack Obama. I think that if you also look at Texas with the ever-increasing Hispanic population, especially in southern, central, and west Texas, and I do live in Central Texas, and I do attest to that personally. The Hispanic population is going to play a major role, as a lot of the minority electorate is becoming very relevant nowadays. I think if you look at Wisconsin as well as Michigan, I think that Michigan will be a solid flip from 2016. I think that Ohio as well as Pennsylvania will lean. Ohio will lean Democratic. I do see that Pennsylvania will be an incredibly close race. I think that Pennsylvania is a state that, even though President Trump won by a very narrow margin, is a state that we could see remaining in the Republican column. This is as Pennsylvania is one of the states that was hit hardest by a lot of President Obama's international trade deals, as well as the continual outsourcing of jobs to countries like China and Mexico that occurred during the Obama presidency, that had seriously left an impact on the majority white electorate in Pennsylvania, the blue collar workers that came out and voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Now, again, that is under the assumption that President Trump is going to keep with his campaign promises, bring back jobs from China and Mexico, and bring back a lot of industries into Pennsylvania. Again, this could be a close race, but there's a slight possibility it could go red, but to keep it safe, I'm going to keep it in the leaning Democratic column. Virginia has been a state that's been trending Democratic for a while. Hillary Clinton won this in 2012. I believe Barack Obama won it in both 2008 and 2012. And so I think it will remain with President Obama. I think that we can see a flip from 2016 in North Carolina, as well as a flip in Florida, as North Carolina and Florida are again states that President Trump won not by a very large margin, and given his incredible unpopularity in Florida, this puts President Obama over 400 electoral votes, making this a massive landslide for the Democratic Party and a historic win. So, thank you for watching this prediction. Like and subscribe. As I said, it's a new channel. I appreciate all the support that I can get from all of my viewers. Give me recommendations about what you want to see next, and I shall see you very soon.